y'all, Lindsay here, back with what I think might be the last segment of our series, our sun salutation sequence. So thanks so much for joining me up until this point. I'm really sweating from breaking down each of those shapes in even just the short little breakdowns that I'm offering here. So now we're going to do down dog, which just like up dog and cobra, we could probably spend a full hour or, the rest of our lives exploring these postures. So yoga is a lifelong practice. There are so many different ways beyond what I'm detailing here to access the practice, the poses, and there's so many more layers to it. There's so many more layers to you. There are so many more layers to everyone and everything and all of this practice, this ancient philosophy and practice especially. So anyway, with that being said, let's move through our sun salutation together to get our way to downward facing dog. Find Tadasana mountain pose. Take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Let your next inhale float your arms overhead. Exhale, lead with the heart, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Step either foot back, yogi's choice. Back knee lifted or not. Step the front foot back onto palms or fists. Knees or straight legs. Breath there in your version of plank. Slow lower. Have to do another series for chaturanga in and of itself. Or skipping that. So we're going to inhale into our cobra, or if you wanted to come all the way up into upward facing dog. Now, draw in around the waist. Let your belly take you up and back from hands and knees. Actually, go ahead and drop to hands and knees if you weren't already. So if you were in plank, go ahead and come to hands and knees. I find it can be helpful to access down dog from here. Stretch your fingers super wide. Stretch the palms. Hands are ways out in front of the shoulders. Turn now your index fingers forward. Index fingers forward so they're parallel to one another. Really, really look and actively, mindfully stretch between the fingers. All of these details can be so important. Now, press into the palms. Now, squeeze the shoulders into their sockets. So not in a moment, we'll press the shoulders away here, but take a moment just to hug the shoulders in towards their sockets. So draw the belly in almost as if you're rounding. Now, float your knees. Feet are flexed. Float your knees. Take a breath. Now press your belly towards your thighs. So now press through the fingertips, the fingerprints, the knuckles, the bases of the fingers. Scoop up the center of the palms, just as we did in mountain pose. Hips high, head bows, downward facing dog. Upside down V shape. Knees can bend. There's so much going on here. It's okay to rest when you need or to take a break and look when you need. You could alternate bending the knees here. Now, press into the hands. Let the shoulders come to the ears, but hug them in towards the midline, in towards your spine. So not backing down. Arms are overhead, so we need to let the shoulders come up, but relax the neck. Hips are high, so maybe bend the knees. You can lift to the toes and press back down, and then whenever you need, just drop to the knees. You can sink back to child's pose to rest in between if that feels safe. This is child's pose, balasana, to let your hips come back and your head rest down, or if it doesn't reach, you can rest head in your hands. If that doesn't reach or doesn't feel right, you can take knees wide, rest the head. So this is a very ancient practice, and there are a lot of reasons why the series, the sequence is in place, but that said, we live here and now in these bodies with these hearts and minds. So down dog might not need to be a part of your yoga practice. That might seem really radical depending upon classes that you go to or what your approach is or your experience, and if you're just new, it doesn't matter much either way, but it's important for you to know that you can do anything you need to do in any class, and if you don't feel comfortable or safe, you can leave. You can lay down on your mat. You can take child's pose instead of down dog in every class. I'm going to share some, I'm feeling called now to share also another little series where I really offer modifications for things commonly found in a yoga practice, yoga class, like taking puppy pose or child's pose or dolphin pose instead of down dog in any class. So, you know, maybe that down dog felt really good to you. Maybe it always does every time you practice it. That's awesome. Like, we're all so very different. And I have a lot of clients, and myself have a lot of injuries and sometimes limitations. So making sure folks have the tools to access the practice in a way that's comfortable and safe for them. Not always comfortable. It's really helpful to challenge that comfort, but I want to make sure you have the options. So I know we've only done down dog for a very short part of this video, of this sequence. You can go ahead and go through it and practice it again, building from hands and knees to hovering the knees, chest back to hips to the sky. At some point, maybe in 10 years or 10 lifetimes, you might be able to connect your heels to the ground and keep your back straight and have your hips lifted. But there's really, it sounds corny, but it really is just about the journey, not the destination. So it's not about achieving this specific shape. It's just about practicing the shape, your version of it in your body today. So it would be then from that down dog that we're going to step back up, or from that child's pose and hands and knees to step a foot back up into our lunge on our way back out of the sun salutation. So hopefully if you've broken everything down with me up until this point, you'll join us for this one next video where we can really put it all together and just move through a sun sal. Surya Namaskar. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace. Much love.